Coming at you like a freight train. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Loser's Lunch. Don't have the guitar today. Who needs a guitar with Kenny and Kevin on the line? It is our weekly exploration in and of excellence, although in full disclosure, lately it's sort of just become about the markets because that's all anybody seems to care about. That being said, though, this episode is going to focus a lot on a bit of a recap from AIME Fuse. Before we do that, I am going to touch on the markets here. First, let me say welcome to Kenny and Kevin. Thanks for joining.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
You're familiar with the program, been on before, have not been on, exactly, Nick, haven't been on together. So excited about that. And we just spent whatever it was, 5 days together. So good times. All right. So here's what's happening, folks. Massive rally in bonds today. Right now we're at 361. We did get down to 358 on 10-year. There are several mortgage coupons up over a point. In fact, not that this is a production coupon by any stretch of the imagination, trading at 91.31, but 3.5s are up about 1.5. So massive rally. Why? Well, it's a continuation of what happened with Bank of England and the emergency rate cut to offset some fiscal policy blunders. But domestically, we are focused on the data this week. It started out today with ISM manufacturing. Tomorrow, we're going to have durables. Wednesday, we're going to have ADP and ISM services. Thursday is claims. And then Friday is the biggest sham of all shams, non-farm payroll. That's either going to send us back to 4 or down to 3 at this point, and some inventories. So ISM did not disappoint, okay? It's the Institute of Supply Management, if anybody wants to know what that means. And really, it's one of the reports, and somebody asked me this question, why do you like these reports or what? When you aggregate to non-farm payroll or to CPI or even to GDP for that matter, it's so many iterations removed from the base data with some noise and some assumptions. I find this data really reliable. And if you remember many episodes ago, I showed how CPI lags ISM prices and why that's hurting us or has hurt us recently. Well, this number didn't disappoint. 50.9, under 50 is contraction. Construction spending was negative on the month. The employment number was 48.7, so that shows contraction in the labor market. New orders were 47. So that is even more contraction. Prices paid the lowest in over 2 years, June, if I'm not mistaken. And the headline was the worst it's been since May of 2020. So you have to really go back to sort of what I call affectionately the dog days of COVID to see ISM manufacturing numbers this bad. So what does that mean? I think it means it's begun. And I said it to the exec team this morning on the call that it's my opinion that it's happening, that we are approaching a period where there will be a convergence of the reality that all of us are seeing on Main Street with the data, which is the Fed has to take a breath here, see what's happening, see if they've already gone too far or avoid going too far. I believe that they've already missed the so-called soft landing, but they can sort of get us in on like a bumpy landing instead of full-on 2008 or worse. And that's really all I've been screaming about. From a Europe standpoint, in the Eurozone, just about every large territory showed contraction on their market PMI final print of September. Spain 49, Italy 48.3, France 47.7, Germany 47.8, Eurozone in total 48.4. So, hey, Fredo, good seeing you out there, by the way. So long story short is, now think about this. Last week, Germany printed some inflationary numbers. Well, how could there be inflation if there's contraction? Well, there's one answer to that, which is called stagflation, which has only happened one other time in our history. Okay? That doesn't mean that it's not happening now or can't happen, but it's incredibly unlikely. And if the Fed doesn't stop, that might be the most likely outcome. And they're probably more afraid of that than they are about inflation. So I'm locking loans that are closing in the next week just because you don't have time. Okay. But as I've been saying on every market minute, it's day to day, but I am long-term bullish on rates. I am going to reiterate my call here. The Fed will cut in March. They will have no choice. We are going to print another negative quarter. I don't see any way around it. Hey, Fidel. And then I think they're trapped.
I think, you know something, I'm going to use a line that was said after my drive at the TPC Las Vegas this week by Andrew Kurosawa, which is boom shakalaka.
Boom shakalaka. There he is. Hey, Andy, what's up? So keep the faith, have patience. Bulls and bears make money. Pigs get slaughtered. We are trending towards seeing some yield on rate sheets. And to be honest with you, I'm working on a trade for our community on that. I don't like to talk too much business on here, but we are working some up in coupon deals with our counterparties. Stay tuned on that. All right. AIME Fuse. I think it was.
That was my saying, Powtown, yes.
Yeah.
Powtown, 1 of 18, though. 1 of 18.
By the way, I mean, we're out in the middle of the desert playing golf, and I didn't feel like it was that hot, right? But Andy was trying to figure out a way how he could jump into the ice bucket. The little bucket on the cart that's about this big. And he's trying to stick his head in there. You know, he think he took his shoes off, putting his feet in there. I mean, he was feeling the heat. I mean, right or wrong, Andy. I mean, you were. I think there was like a Bugs Bunny cartoon about that.
I think it was the top path only.
Yeah, where they stuck him in the. But he was trying to figure out a way. Luckily, he made it through. I mean, otherwise, I mean, if it was any hotter, this would be Andy. But luckily, it was hot. But we had a great time with you, brother, and so glad you were there. So I want to break down AIME Fuse a little bit, but you were. That's why it was just your hat. But I mean, I do tend to it was the hat and the towel. What would be, if I asked you for one takeaway before we sort of break it down? What was each of you? What would be your one takeaway from Vegas?
I'd say the difference. I mean, Kenny, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I don't even remember. Kenny, yeah, you were there. I mean, the difference between this year and last year of what we've accomplished to help our partners grow, and it doesn't matter what association they're part of. We want to help all our partners grow. You know, like I said a couple weeks ago on No Perspective, it's a community, and I think the way that everyone's coming together in this community to help each other get ahead, and the way everyone shares ideas. I mean, the conversations that we've had with 3 of the largest, you know, mortgage brokers out there was pretty special, right? Because we want to help them, they want to help us, and that was what really resonated with me. Is our community coming together. Doesn't matter who you are, what association you belong to. We all want to help each other get through this market.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the common theme was partner. I think, you know, before it was like when we attend these, you know, these functions, these exhibit halls, it would say, hey, we need a lender that does X. We need a lender that does this. What is your niche? I did not hear that the whole time. You know, I think people need a diverse lender now. They know that we need to get to the other side. And they no longer say, all I do is conventional and I send it to this mega brand because of this. Now they know that we need someone who can actually has a, you know, multifaceted approach to the product line and who can deliver different products, open up their, you know, their fundings. I think, you know, someone who loses 40% in conventional business now can find that if they diversify. And I think that was a common theme throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I agree with you. I felt like it wasn't, despite some of the turmoil in the markets and some of the concern in the broader market, the conversations that I had, and yeah,
Exactly.
The conversations that I had were, I feel like, no less upbeat than they were last year. And I definitely believe, and as guys who've been in the business as long as I have, there's this sense like, I mean, we've seen this, we've done it, we've been through it, and that was, I believe, a common theme, is that there were a bunch of lifers, in the room. I know at our party at the barbershop, we touched on that, Kev, you and I, up on stage. It's like, if you're in this room, you're in this room.
100%.
So let's cut the bullshit. Let's cut the nonsense. Let's stop talking about rates and let's start talking about closings. I tell you, one of my highlights, and it's so funny, Scott and I have coined this phrase for probably a decade and a half. And so Kev and I went to go spend a half hour or so with Brad Lee. Shout out to the real Brad Lee. And we're walking around the office a little bit, and there's this poster that sort of said something along the line. Actually, let me see exactly what it said.
Less meetings, more doings.
Less meetings, more doings. And that's something that Scott and I, we would say, enough of the meetings, let's get to the doings. And, it's just, you can't have paralysis by analysis. And what's interesting also about that is I had some one-on-ones right before we left. And I had two LOs, kind of say to me, you know what? We just stopped apologizing for interest rates, just started charging. And guess what happened? Magically, the borrowers just said, okay.
Right.
Sometimes we make our own problems, folks, as salespeople.
I agree. I think, what's funny? Chris Gordon says it all the time. Now more than ever, you need to be a mortgage professional, a mortgage advisor. All this market does is thin the herd. So all the order takers that could have, that didn't need to sell rate, didn't need to sell payment, didn't need to sell fees, are gone. So that's more for the rest of you. That's more for guys like Andrew. That's more for guys like Fredo. All of these people will then go out and get more business. If you just what you just said, stop apologizing, go get it.
I agree. I think we're too busy thinking about what we should do instead of just doing it right. Getting on the phone and call. Getting on the phone and ask for the deal. Right? We're planning. Hey, I'm going to have this strategy. I'm going to strategize. But it's simple. It's time to get back to the fundamentals, having the conversation with your clients. Like you said, forget about the rates. Rates aren't important right now. The rates are the rates. We can't control the rates. We can control the actions.
Yeah, I'd like to get, your take on this because, one of the things you've been really successful at here is taking some new AEs and sort of propelling them to success. And, something that I've said to sales managers in the past, right, is understanding the psychology of humans, and specifically in this example, a salesperson. It sort of becomes like Pavlov's dog. Why do salespeople not do the things that they need to do to be successful? Well, here's what you understand. If I make 10 calls and I get 9 no's, the natural reaction to that is, well, why would I make another call if all I'm going to get is a no? And I think an effective sales leader is able to put a mindset of, focusing on that one yes more so, and then avoiding focusing on those 9 no's. Because it's totally sensible to not make the call, right? If you know that there's not going to be a payoff, frankly, you'd be an idiot to make a call.
I wouldn't be married if I settled for the 9 no's, Phil.
Right, exactly right.
Right. For newer guys, Phil, like you said, who don't have the experience, it's so easy to fall into that call reluctance, right? Where you don't want to make that call. Sometimes it takes 15 calls. It's the averages. You got to make the calls. You got to do the marketing. You got to do the follow-up. And then once you find that one success, guess what? It's easy to get back on the bike. Kevin and I talk about all the time. Periodically, we'll jump on a call with a broker. That first call is always rough. Even though the experience that we have, the level that we have, that first call is always rough. But it's just you got to do the exercise. You have to make the multiple calls. If it's 20 calls a day to get one result, then guess what? That's one result. That's one broker that's going to send you 3 or 4 loans. Multiply that by 15, 20 success stories a month. There you go. Now you're finding the sustainable business that, most successful AEs have.
So you say it all the time. Don't take the no.
Right.
Don't take the no.
What do you guys do or say with either a new salesperson or maybe someone that's struggling, that lost their way a little bit, in regard to having those conversations, having the tough conversations? Exactly right, John. What's one of your secrets to getting these folks who either have never produced before to produce, or to get back on the proverbial horse?
I think it's just doing it in front of them, right? I believe in action, right? I hate these guys who want to, I always say all the time, if you're such a great trainer, you got these trainers out there that teach you how to make $1 million. I always say, if you're so good, why aren't you making $1 million LO? How are you going to teach me? We prefer to get on the phone. We'll sit on a call, we'll put it on speaker, we'll make the calls. I almost hope I get a no, because to this day, I still hate the no, and I fight it and fight it and fight it. I want them to see I'm willing to do, Kenny's willing to do exactly what we were asking them to do. And I did it with somebody the other day, one of our new business development people, and I got lucky. The first call was like a slam dunk. But it goes to show you how far EPM has come along. And I'm not trying to promote EPM, but it was a lot easier when your brand is so shiny, right? So you call and they're like, all right, I'll take it. I'll take it. I wanted them, absolutely, know the way, show the way, and go the way. That's what I preach. I wanted them to see me get 5 no's. So if I don't get it, I tell them right out, this is a one-off. You never get the yes first. Right. Let's make a few more. And I think that's our secret. And it's being motivated. You put somebody new into this environment and they're surrounded by wolves, they're either going to be eaten or they're going to become a wolf. I don't care if they're a sheep. They're going to start acting like a wolf. So that is totally, what we do here.
No, I agree with you 100%. I think it's like you said, it's showing the way. It's getting on the call with new people and saying, hey, listen to me, make that call. Let you hear the resistance. I still have to deal with the resistance. With the title and everything else, there's going to be resistance from the brokers. You got to get through the gatekeeper, whatever it may be. We experienced that, resistance last year at Fuse, right? We had some issues. We had some, service issues that we had to overcome, and we were still selling. We ended up going on the offense, right? It's really talking to the broker, letting them know, and let the, when you're selling, where we were, where we are, and where we're going. I
love it. And by the way, Kevin Ducey just, said, hey, and he came over to the booth, and we had an opportunity to really catch up. It was great seeing you, Kev. And by the way, that is an example of the power of this medium, of the power of social media, when you're doing it properly. And Jenna, and she's going to have a smile on her face while I'm saying this, but there we are.
That is the rock star.
But it's I was sort of a reluctant social media presence because I have found that so many people are really effective kind of in building their brand, but not effective in doing business. So we struggled a lot with how can we accomplish both, right? How can we have the content drive the business, but then also the presence and the social brand, not the business brand, drive the business. And I always tell this story about this one person that I follow on LinkedIn, and she had tremendous presence on LinkedIn, and she was known of being fit and doing these push-ups and everything, and got 50,000 followers, and she was out of the mortgage business in 5 months. So it's like, what did that do? What did that mean? Well, the conversation I had with Kev, Andy's another perfect example, right? I mean, it's the first time we met Andy in person, okay, felt like we knew each other. He always is on here and this and talking and dropping, or the choo-choo on my market minute. You feel like you know each other, okay? And sales is about lowering the barrier. Kev, you're exactly right. It's not about these methods are always going to result in a sale. Not every post is going to result in going viral. So what do? You have one bad post, you stop posting? That's a great point, Jenna. You stop posting? You stop pitching? No. You understand that this is part of the process. If it was easy, it wouldn't be work. We'd all be millionaires. We'd all be billionaires. There's a reason why there's a payoff to a job well done. It's because it's not easy to do that job well. So the breakdown, one of the things that let's talk a little bit about the vent. It's exactly right. Yeah, it's exactly right.
Phil, you are who you are. When people see you on social media, they probably think, everyone got to see this week, the way you are on social media is who you are. And I challenge anyone, and it, just because Andrew's point, to be who you really, exactly. That's who he is. That's definitely him. So be who you are. And I think working with Jenna, one of the hardest things I've learned was to really be who I am and open up about some things. But to your point, you're right. People come up to me and be like, "Oh my God, I love what you're posting." And Kevin Pernio, he comes over, he goes, "Hey man, you put out some good stuff." Never met me before. We just had our first conversation, and it was over what he sees on social media. So I challenge anyone and to Andrew's point, people do business with people they want to do business with because they know who you are and they feel like they know you.
Right.
Everyone should be doing that, but don't be fake because people could see it a mile away. Because people come to me and say, "Hey man, I never knew you were like this. I can't believe I'm watching your content. It's amazing. I'm learning so much." And it makes me feel good to even open up more. So I challenge everyone, be who you are, just like you are, Phil. Be 100% authentic on this stuff. People could tell, and you will. You don't do it with the intention to get business, but people do just what Jenna said. People want to do business with people, and they like they like you, they'll give you the business. So just be you.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, look, we're all in this together, and that's really the essence of this program is to do what makes you happy, right? Not what you think will result in a sale. If it makes you happy, thank you, DJ. If it makes you happy, it'll likely make other people happy. Okay. Now, it is decaf. It is. Actually, it's not, but the caffeine doesn't affect me as much as you think. But it'll likely make other people happy. And guess what? If it makes enough people happy, he is. He was a vision in blue.
Phil,
Kevin, I think by the way, I'm Kevin. I'm not Kenny. I'm Kevin.
I was at NAMBA, Phil, and you make a good point. And one of the social media experts was saying, like, be authentic, be yourself, because you never know where the connection will be made. What you deliver is out there for certain types of people and certain, followers. So it's best you be yourself and not like someone else, because guess what? All you're gonna do is try to share followers. You have your own followers. It's just the content that you produce will get those guys to come on board.
Yeah, 100%. And look, we are a bunch of people that were put on a rock, and are just trying to do the best we can for ourselves, for our families. Your problems are my problems. My problems are your problems, even if there's a slight, nuance to it. And that's where I say, and I feel like we do a good job of that. And Jenna, this is the phrase you should have coined for Brad, is be selfish in your intentions and generous in your actions. Okay. And I've said this a million times, but for those of you that might be new to the program or might have forgotten, I come to work every single day for my wife and kids and little Max. Okay. Not necessarily for Kevin and Kenny. Right. And I expect the vice versa. Right. But when I do something, I am more likely to be mindful and more respectful of Kevin and Kenny's time and feelings and and an opportunity than I am of my own.
Right.
And I know so many that will sort of be the opposite, right? Is they'll want to be generous, but then they'll be selfish in their actions. Just, I'm doing shit that benefits me. That is far more detrimental to the growth of yourself, the growth of your business, the growth of your company. Let's talk a little bit. Let's break down a bit more. What were some things that you guys brought to the table, that EPM brought to the table, that you found you got some real traction with over the course of the weekend?
I think it's just, it's seeing people outside of a transaction, right? We're not transactional based. We're more relationship based. I think that's one thing that separates EPM from it, just because of who we are as people. I think that's just the nature of who you are. It's the nature of Kenny is, I like relationships. One transaction doesn't do anything for me. Great. Who cares? I think getting, outside of a transaction, talking to people, spending 18 holes with Andrew, getting to know Andrew, was great. Getting to know his team later that night at the barbershop, having conversations of what can we do better, and people giving us honest feedback, and what can we do to make this partnership stronger. We had some conversations with some really big accounts that we will end up, working more together than ever, not because of a rate, not because of a product type, because they got to see, Phil, Kevin, Kenny, Frankie Wholesale, Jamal, Kerry, we all care about their business. Christian, we care about their business, and we want them to do well, and we want to partner with someone that wants to have a true relationship. So I think that, and I think that's AIME as an organization too. It's a lot of relationship based, but I really believe we have these great experiences with like Matt and Mike from Nexa, from the Gordons, from Bidan, and now these other people got to come by the booth, spend some time with us, get to know us, and be like, shit, these guys really care. I want to do business with them. We're not just another loan or another number. I mean, correct if I'm wrong, Kenny, but I think
I agree with you.
That is for me. I don't know what it was for you, but
I think, in a volatile market like this, right? I think individuals see the energy we had at that booth. There was no fear, right? There was trying to find a way. And I give you credit, Phil. You did something, we had a lot of, contracts in place and things that we couldn't do, right? We had a hard stop on a relationship that we were working on. And, you talk about where there's a Phil, there's a way. And normally we joke about that, and it's about Disney World, it's about going to the restaurant, but you put it into play with the broker relationship, and you said, put that shit to the side. Excuse my language.
No, we curse on here.
Let's talk on Monday. I will get with the attorney. I will get with compliance, and we'll find a way to make this deal work. And that broker was shocked because we worked on this deal for the last 60 to 90 days. So 120 days, whatever. Yeah. Right. So, where there's a Phil, there's a way. I think that's what people appreciate about it. And not only did you say that, you talked about your relationship with other large lenders and brokers, and you said, listen, this is a true partnership. Not only do we want your business, I'm going to help you do something and leverage our relationships with other organizations to help you better your business as well.
Well, and I want to talk about that in a sec. Jenna, bring that picture back up, though. And you talk about the mindset difference. And so here's what we can learn from this, right? Is that Kevin needs to sort of wear lifts on his shoes to get a little bit taller. He clearly had too much to drink. So there he is with a full glass. But for those of you that weren't there, what am I doing? What am I saying? No, I'm not trying to eat the microphone. What I was yelling was, let's fucking crush it in 23. And that's really the mindset that we brought to the show, that I'm bringing to the program. And for those of you that weren't at our broker, that weren't at our broker summit in July, okay? One of the things, when I heard several of the speakers, and some of that was happening this weekend as well, okay? And I got to say, I give some props to Matt Ishbia, who went up there and also had a little bit of a similar tone in his messaging too. But when in our summit, I kind of heard like it's tough, it's rates. You got it. Great seeing you there as well, Mo. What I said was, I got up there and I said, look, hold on a second. And I said 92, 98, 02, 06, 2010, 13, 17, 20. You know what those dates represent? The best years of my career. I've always made my bones in the busts, not the booms. I've been licking my chops for this time. The difference, and if you're listening for the next cycle, we were prepared for this. We were prepared for those other ones.
Right.
Okay. And I told this story this weekend. The same way we sold our servicing in 18 to prepare for 20, and that's why we were able to provide affordable funding for the marketplace on government loans in the dog days of COVID. We did the same thing this year. Called this, if you've been following my content on this program, since November, I said there's going to be a housing event way sooner than anybody thinks, and here it is. Prices are finally coming down. Inventory's finally getting on the market. We shed our servicing risk. We are ready to leverage this next cycle. We're excited about this current cycle because it's bigger opportunity next year. And those who were prepared, those who sacrificed are ready. And if you didn't, don't take for granted what is going to be starting, who knows, maybe as quickly as next week, although probably not likely, but maybe December 15th is a good date to look at if it doesn't happen sooner. Is probably a nice 12, 18-month run where we could do some cash out, we could sell some homes, we could do some refis, and with less competition, it'll be a good market. Don't take that for granted. Don't let this cycle hit you and take you by surprise again. That's why we're excited about it. Now, Kenny, you talk about partners, something that we were working on for quite some time behind the scenes, and UWM rolled it out. But we have a strategic partnership with Concourse Land Transfer, and something that Scott's been working on for a while is this replacement for title insurance. And I don't know all the details and I don't have anything. What I could tell you is it's essentially the same exact product. The difference is it's not an EPM product, okay? It's one of our strategic partners. So not only is it available on EPM loans, but it's available on all loans. And in round numbers on a purchase, it saves a consumer $1,000 to $1,500. On a refi, maybe a little bit less. It's not ubiquitous. It's not available to every loan, but it's something that can arm our originators and therefore their realtors and builders with a saleable transaction. By the way, I'm working on those of you that know that, I've been working on some vertical opportunities and strategic partnerships the last 6 months. We are ready to announce a bunch of different things where it's going to empower the borrowers, not the originators, the borrowers. If we empower the borrower, it'll empower the builder or the realtor. It'll empower the rep. It'll empower the brokerage. It'll empower the lending community. So if you want to know more about that, please reach out to Kevin and Kenny about that. They'll make all the contacts with all the strategic partners that we've been aligning to provide a current, cost-effective, and automated mortgage solution. What else, guys?
No, I think that you made a great point. I think, and I joked with Scott a little bit there, and I said, Matt kind of stole your thunder a little bit by mentioning that. And he said, you know what? That's a betterment for everyone. He goes, I'm glad he did it. It really brings to light the opportunity. So, good for Scott. And I think we can cross-pollinate. I think it's going to help, the community, right? If we can cross-pollinate these different strategic partners, whether it's Appraisal Nation or Conquest Title, I think we said you can find great savings and it'll benefit the end user, which is the borrower.
Yeah, I think sharing our technology, I think that was big. We've been doing a lot of talking about it. People hear about it. Core, where is it? We're finally ready to go. Right. And that's going to be big. And again, that is just empowering our partners to make it easier. to be able to notify their realtors, to be able to notify the borrower when there's an update, to be able to click and contact somebody. I mean, the changes we're making to make sure that we are doing everything we can to make the home buying or refinance experience so easy and keep the consumer educated and informed what's going on in their loan. This technology is just the next step with that. So, everything we're doing is to give more tools to our mortgage advisors, our loan originators to go out there and capture more business and compete with the big boys, not just compete with them, beat them, be even easier to use.
And another one was core, Jackie. You're 100% right about that. Super impressive to folks. Chris, you were absolutely spot on. We need to think differently. The guy, the team sort of, makes fun of me a little bit. My mantra lately has been, we've got to unplug from the fucking matrix. That's been my mantra on this economy, right? The Fed wants to be dominated by CPI and non-farm payroll when all the underlying data, and fuck that data. Talk to the CEO of Target, the CEO of Walmart, the CEO of FedEx, the CEO of Keller Williams, the CEO of Pulte, Home Builders, Toll Brothers. They'll tell you what's happening on the street. Forget about those CEOs. Talk to mortgage brokers and loan officers and processors, the conversations that they're having, right? We know what's happening on the street, but sometimes we're just so in the ether, we're so caught up in the matrix that we don't have the ability and the nerve to just sort of unplug and take a stand. And that, to me, where I was sort of so proud of what the needle we were trying to move there was the essence of empowering people more, and what the messaging that we've tried to put out there since EPMX, which is a rising tide can lift all boats, right? It's incumbent upon Kevin and Kenny and their folks, Jason and Laura and the ops folks within EPM, once they're at bat, to knock it out of the park, okay? As it should be with your businesses and with our competitors. If we make for a bigger marketplace and we do what we're supposed to do, we're going to have crumbs. Look, the goal, at least not for the absolute foreseeable future, years, is not to replace UWM, as an example, but to complement them. The broker community can't have one lender. So how do we empower the community, even if it means that they go do the loan with somebody else? If we could put other tools in their hand, or a program like this, or the whole perspective, help somebody make another sale. On a percentage basis, we're going to get our fair share if we keep doing the right thing. Period.
We'll be number one in our lane. Like I always like to say, here's an original for you. It ain't no fun unless you're number one. There you go.
I love it. All right, 12:38. We got 2 minutes. What else? You have the floor.
Well, I think people need to find comfort in this market. I think this is an opportunity. If they can't see the opportunity, yes, it's a cleansing. We're getting rid of probably the microwave mortgage professionals who found instant success in this refi boom. Guess what? It's time to get market share. It's time to get to the fundamentals, and you could replace that loss in business, like you said earlier. If you're only doing one lane, it's time to diversify. Start doing the VA rentals. Start doing the low FICO scores, the mid FICO scores. Find a lender that you can find. DPAs, right? Multifaceted is the way you get to the other side of this market.
Yeah, and relationship. I think anyone that got to meet us out at AIME realizes we're relationship-based guys. Yeah. We care about their business. We care about their success. And, one last question. Phil, what team had the lowest score? We'll take their 3 best scores, and our scores, me, you, and Andrew. I believe we were the championship team.
For sure we won. And that was that. And I want to say one more thing about relationships, okay, is we have a fantastic relationship with Nexa and a fantastic relationship with Matt and Mike. Right. And I know that everybody knows the social media stuff, and Matt and Mike weren't at AIME, right? make no mistake about it. As excited as we are about our AIME partners and about the spirit of AIME, it was such a community. Okay. That doesn't mean that we're not excited about our brothers and sisters at Nexa. And ultimately, all of us want the same thing, right? And so one of the things that we do here is, and Eddie said it in the conversation this morning, if A has something to say about B and you're C, see your way out of it, is my piece of this puzzle is what's going to be is what's going to be. We don't have to sort of get involved in it. If you're not involved in it, we all want what's best for the borrower. We all have a different way of going about it. Let's just respect what that different way is. So for me personally, they were missed there. And I hope that we all can build a bridge so that they're at the event next year, because bar none, what I keep saying about AIME Fuse is you have a group of brokers who are plugged in to wanting to grow themselves, grow the community, be a benefit to the borrower, be accretive to this crazy industry that we call mortgages and real estate. So at the end of the day, let's advocate for the borrowers and for a better tomorrow.
Absolutely. Spot on. And we'll be at LOS Support Summit.
Yes.
Phoenix coming up next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I just want to add, it's funny because I had a conversation with Katie Sweeney's mom, and she was on the whole perspective of the week that everything was happening. And if everyone heard my message, it's all about the community. Listen, my neighbors don't have to like each other. I have a neighbor on the right of me. I call them the Joneses. Oh, shit. I hope they're not watching, because they always try to keep up with us. Anything I do, if I put a new walkway in, they put a better walkway in. So I got to keep up with the Joneses. I have a guy on the other side that I'm really good friends with. We smoke cigars every night. Our daughters play together. I like both of them in different ways. But I treat them, if we're all together, they all get treated the same. I don't get, if he doesn't like him, I don't want to hear about it. I don't really care. To your point, A and B, see yourself out of it. It's a community. And you're going to have people inside your community that you're not 100%. Maybe your wife likes them better than you like them. You just got to get along. We're all in this together. We're all going to grow. But you're right. I mean, if everyone else needs to stay out of it, let it go. This is a community that we could all grow together. And EPM is going to help anyone that knocks on our door to say, hey, I need some help because they're part of our community, and help them. And they'll get treated the same. Unless you're the Joneses that I just had to put a new battery in these goddamn Joneses.
Andy, and in fairness to Stevie, we Rolls Royced it. We didn't have any warm up because we sort of had to sneak in to get out, and it was car path only. Which, by the way, I'd rather Kevin beat me with a 7-iron than play car path only. So, I had a couple of shots there where I absolutely flushed it right at the pin, and I'm 30 yards long. And I go back, and then I find the sprinkler head, and they were few and far between. I'm like, wait a second. I thought this was 20 yards longer than, because according to the cart, we thought we had a number, and then you walk out to your ball and you think that you're even. Car path only is brutal. I mean, I wanted to throw myself into the crevice, the great crevasse, as they call it. I mean, but what are you going to do? It was a good time had by all. The hot dogs were good. I had a couple nooners, and got to meet two great brokers in the broker community. So, and we produced some good content. All right. I love you guys. That's a whole episode we could talk about on that. That was an awesome moment. Jenna, you did a great job with that party. The music next time has to be lower. I mean, we're trying to talk. I mean, it's not a rave. It's a business thing.
True.
Thank you, Frank. You did an awesome job. I got to tell you something. I mean, true or false, Jamal did not disappoint.
No.
I think he brought 63 suits. He thinks he's sharing. I mean, up there changed his fucking suit 4 times in the middle of the day. That one white suit, oh my God, the velvet, it was beautiful.
It was like a teddy bear. It was like a
I
teddy
just wanted to
biscuit.
fall up on him and fall asleep. I kept saying to people, I said, he wears several hats here. He's either one of them are more prolific AEs, or he could make you a suit.
Absolutely.
Or if you get out of line, he's our bouncer too.
I think that suit was koala.
It was unbelievable. All right. 45 minutes and 16 seconds. There he is. What's up, Stevie? It was great meeting you.
Absolutely.
We had a ton of fun. The whole time, Andy was saying, as you guys were hitting up into us, he's saying, I was wondering, he was very concerned about you, Steve. Very. I wonder how he's doing back there. I wonder how he's doing. You had to put up with Mark.
He rode with me, so he was struggling.
I feel bad for you there. Scott made that one par. I'm pretty sure he did shoot 173. Watching him stand over a chip. I want to bring like an air horn out there and blow it after about 36 seconds. I think he falls asleep. Steve, watching Scott chip, how long it takes him to chip? Did that contribute to a couple extra strokes on your score? Yes or no?
I don't know how you can get sleepy in Vegas. It's very, it's very tough to fall asleep.
It's very tough to fall asleep. But I mean, I do. By the way, I was up at 4:00 every morning trying to not get to, and it worked.
Yeah.
It absolutely worked. All right. Anyway, folks, if you haven't figured it out, we're having a great time. We want to have a great time with you. Please join the family, whether you do business with us or not. If you want to improve yourself, if you want to figure out some of these, because by the way, there are other verticals. So, look for about 6 or 7 different things that we're going to set the community up that we're not going to have a part of, right? To help empower you to make as many loans as possible around home security, around low-cost title replacement, technology, evaluation, down payment assistance stuff. Well, EPM may make some money on that, but a whole bunch of different things to promote home ownership and more cost-effective home ownership. Core, which is available whether you're doing a loan with EPM or not. Correct, guys?
Yes, we're going to work something out. We're in the works on that.
Okay. So, and we just want the little crumbs.
That's it.
Kevin, you can't give him a big crumb. Crush him and we'd lose him. We'd lose him. A little piece for your niece. All right.
We are wholesale.
Thank you, gents.
Absolutely. Appreciate
it. Great job this weekend. Great job by AIME. Great job by all the brokers that were there. It's a love fest.
Yeah, be sure to tune into the Whole Perspective on Fridays.
It's a great show. The Whole Perspective is awesome. Choo-choo.